That's the thing. I'm like, you didn't say anything. Like, what are we going to talk? The first time we were focused on our arm wrestling, or lack thereof. Still got my cables back there. Boom. But uh, yeah, we were talking about armor. I don't know what the hell you want to talk about, man.
What do you
Earth,
mean?
su-
What?
Earth sucks.
First of all,
Earth sucks.
let me just say, I'm so happy that you're on the podcast again because you know what that means. Come on, take a shot. Take a
Yeah,
shot in the
and
dark.
talk about Power Rangers.
I'm friends with a fucking Power Ranger. That obviously means we're friends, or I'm assuming and I'm hoping and I'm kind of dreaming that it's true.
That's not Rona. That's weed.
That's not that sweet.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, obviously, yeah, we're living in strange times, but like,
Mm.
it's pretty insane because before we started talking, when we first did the first podcast, Jason, you were telling me how you were nervous about this job and you were hoping that you were going to get it, and then next thing you know, I see you in the job, and I'm like, bro, you got to understand, like, you have the best thing to put on a resume, like all your out of everything that might be the top, but then you have like everything you have about you is basically a panty dropper or a line you could use at a pickup club. And what I mean by that is like, what do you do? Most people, when they're trying to impress a girl, what they do is they go for something they are good at. So there's that one dude that's like, I'm good at fucking water polo. So he takes his chick out on his first date to a fucking swimming pool or community YMCA just to show off his water polo skills. But you're like, I'm an arm wrestler. I'm like, dude, that is this stereotypical alpha male style shit where it's like, you want to arm wrestle? I'm like, yo.
Wait a second. Time out. I've never said to a female, I'm an arm wrestler. I usually say it to other guys because I want to see them challenge me. Because, like I said, I'm not that, you know what I mean? Dude, I'm like, dude, I'm down 30 pounds since the last time we talked, man. 3-0.
I don't see the Titan fitness anymore. I guess it's because you bumped out of their weight class. Is that what's happening?
No, no, no. I'm jacked, dude. I'm stronger than ever, but I'm down like 30 pounds. So it's really
How did
good.
you lose weight so fast?
Well, I don't think it's that fast. I don't know when. It feels like 6 years. When did the last time? I have no idea. Even I have no concept of time anymore. I don't think anyone does since March of last year.
Time is
Um,
constructed by man. It's irrelevant.
I agree, and I actually, well, I actually think time is man made. Absolutely, I don't think that we're. And that's a
It's
whole
a
other thing.
fact. It's kind of a
Um,
fact.
but no, I think no, I didn't do anything. All I did was because I think I think we talked about it last time. I was living in Singapore for 10 years, and over there I was performing in my contract. I had to keep a certain weight. So in 2009, when they hired me, I was 32 years old and I was about 155 pounds. So I kind of had to maintain that the entire time. It was contracted and we could bump, give or plus like 5 pounds left or right. But we have our costumes, we have our, you know what I'm saying. And then the thing is that too, I think we talked about this last time. I played Charlie Chaplin, and me, the stickler to attention to detail, everything when I knew I was going to play Chaplin, I'm like, I'm actually going to not lift weights, I'm just going to not eat and I'm going to be thin. Because already I was so self-conscious because I look a lot like Charlie in the face, but he's such a small, skinny guy, and I had to, make my coat. I could never move in my coat, and so when I moved back home, I literally was like, dude, not only were the like handcuffs taken off that I've never been able to lift weights and eat. Even with Terminator, when I did the Terminator show, I was John Connor. John Connor's, small, skinny Edward Furlong, a small, skinny kid. So it was like I never had the ability to just fucking eat and lift heavy weights. I lifted heavy weights and didn't eat, or ate shit and didn't lift, like depending on my, sanity at that time of my life. But so I got home last year and I was just like, fuck, I'm going to eat. But I hadn't had Taco Bell or fucking, or our portions, a super large fry in Singapore is this big, large fry McDonald's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in America. Um, so I gained, I went from 155, 160 pounds to about 195. And in a year, it took me about since I was leaving Singapore, it took me about 8 months. And of that weight, while I got strong and realistically, bulking, bro, put 30 pounds. Realistically, it's probably like 20 pounds of fat and 10 pounds of muscle I put on, but 10 pounds of muscle is good. So I kept all my strength. I went back to I'm a huge believer in intermittent fasting. I went back to my intermittent fasting, almost doing like one meal a day. Of anything I wanted. So like usually my go-to meal had been a two double or a 3x3 and a double double from In-N-Out. Literally, that's what I ate. Shout out the In-N-Out burger.
Wow. I feel bad
Uh,
for you if you chose In and Out.
well, it's just because it's right by my house and it's
It's
super,
too
and I have
hyped
to
up,
drive
dude. It's
past
not
it.
that good,
Oh, I
man.
don't think it's that good either. No, to be honest, no. I think, dude, Shake Shack, Five Guys, Whataburger, all fucking blow out away.
Talking about Whataburger? Whataburger. You going over there to Whataburger, eh?
Have you had that before?
I don't they don't have them down here. It's like if I said Wawa, you wouldn't know what a Wawa is.
No, I don't. I
It's
only
a
know Whataburger because of Texas. Shout out! I'm wearing my brother Steve Kukla, brother-in-law, rock paper gun. I win shirt.
that's like the kid that played rock paper scissors in school and just pull out dynamite or some shit, and you're like,
Yeah,
that's not an instrument.
yeah. Well, it was rock paper gun. But anyway, but yeah. So my sister and brother-in-law, they live in Texas, in Dallas. So they have Whataburger there, and they're like, he's like, bro, and dude, fucking bro, it's that shit's and it's 24 hours. Um, I mean, dude, I just like a plain bacon cheeseburger. Like usually like a double bacon cheeseburger. I don't want shit on it, nothing. That's what I just like. I want to enjoy all the
I don't
fucking
want to eat
meat.
shit either. I got you. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to eat it, and so, dude, but Whataburger's fucking legit.
Well, just I mean, New Year's Eve, that was the first day I have eaten out at a restaurant or any type of food that wasn't prepped at home or made at home, like a can of
Wow.
tuna. First time in 8.5 years, 8 years.
Dude,
S-
that's crazy.
So it was Chinese food. So like I was like, let's do it. And like that was an experience in itself. And now I've made my resolution where everyone's talking about getting healthy. Here's the funny thing is I think people bailed on that. They didn't even make that a resolution this year. Nobody's doing the fitness thing. Like,
Okay, wait a second. Have you seen that fucking How deep do we want to go today? I mean, do you want to do? I feel like okay, because the last time we talked, it was fun and light with some shit,
we can talk whatever. I don't modulate
with
this
some
thing.
stuff.
This is my
No,
show.
I know, but no, I don't want to have fucking death threats on me or my family because, dude, have you seen that
Who's going to
fucking
death threat you?
dude, well, actually, the people that call me at work, they do, my customers. Dude, I am not lying. You want to hear a fucking true story, man? Um, like I said, I work for a customer service department. I'll leave the company out of it. I work for a customer service department. I'll say, granted, granted, you can do some digging and find out what it is. But anyway, dude, I had no fucking idea the fucking abuse and the shit that I would be taking as a customer service person. And working for a luxury company. So you can imagine the clientele. But dude, I was literally told, not because of me, because of UPS. The UPS does our deliveries. UPS, I don't work for UPS, but I literally, it's all I fucking talk about is UPS to people. And dude, but I literally had someone call, I had this black girl called me, asked me where her package is. It's lost. Of course, she's blaming me, dude. She swore at me. She swear this motherfucking that, right? And I was like, listen, ma'am, listen. I want to help you, but I'm not going to help you if you keep swearing at me. And she's like, well, I'll keep fucking saying what I want. I'm like, well, literally, you can swear at me all day long. I go, oh, I can, dude. She's like, you motherfucking faggot ass, fucking faggot. And dude, I'm sitting here like laughing. You know what I mean? I'm fucking like crying. Then she said to me, fucking telemarketer, customer service. How the hell do you support your family? I'm like, wait a minute, man. That's actually a really sensitive subject. So that one hurt, but keep going. Yeah, motherfucking faggot. Dude, it was hilarious until I eventually hung up. But dude, the fucking abuse I take, Jesus.
The one study, actually, I've been saying this for years, but the one study I did in school that like I kind of like really hooked to was like I was wondering about like the Wolf of Wall Street kind of style
Mm,
stuff, where it was like how many people during the stock like the economic downfall, how many people were jumping off the buildings because you'd always hear about that.
yeah,
So I wondered around that time, I was like, what about service? Like, what about service callers? Like the guys that sit there and take shit on the phone 24/7 from people just trying to help. Like, I imagine they get depressed every single day just being cursed at and cursed at and cursed
yeah.
at. I've always thought that. But like, I had a counter when I first started working at the gym. When my original gym closed, I still kept that 8 year streak going. I haven't missed that one day. I'm always working out. But when I was started working at the new gym, I was kind of nervous and somebody had called me and I answered the phone and she was like, "You've been charging my card even though the gym's locked down and all that," and started going off on me. And I'm like, "Ma'am, I'm new here and this I'm not responsible for the company, okay? I'm just I represent them, I guess, but I'm so new, I have no idea what you're talking about." And
Mm,
she goes, "Don't give me that shit. You know, everyone uses that excuse. I'm tired of it." And it started going off. Dude, she came in, I heard her voice and I was like, "You're the one that called me on the phone." And she goes, "Yeah, I did. I'm sorry about that." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. And the funny thing is, I knew her because during the whole lockdown situation, when you're supposed to be inside your home, we were like sneak working out, which was going to the gym with the key. And she was one of the people there. There was only 3 people there, and she was one of them. And I was like, and I know you from the other gym. She goes, oh, hey. I'm like, don't give me that shit. So every time she sees me, she tries to give me this friendly attitude. I'm like, no, you've ruined it. You've ruined the
Well,
relationship.
exactly. I mean, imagine any of these fucking motherfuckers saying that shit to my face. No fucking way they will. Again, this is like, this is the problem with Earth. People need to, we need to bring back the value of being punched in the face. The fear of it and the fucking satisfaction of it, if you're the one doing the punching, you know? Or sometimes if I just think people just need to get their asses kicked. And I mean, you know, it's because I grew up going, I'm not going to say shit to another man or a female, but especially, I'm not going to start shit with another man that unless I think I can get into that's where I'm gonna get into a fight. I got to expect that guy might whoop my ass, you know. And I always thought about that. And I'm not saying that because I'm not, dude. Fucking, I think I'm all right. But it's just it's so disrespectful, and people would not say all this shit. People talk on fucking social media, on Facebook and Instagram, YouTube comments. Come on, no one would say that shit to anyone's face. And like I said though, dude, I can't believe on a daily, but you have no idea. Like I'm more exhausted from this job than when I was doing, and mentally at the end of the day, than when I was doing stunt work and circus work. You know what I mean? Um,
Well, we're
but
also in a like
yeah.
jam-packed, like revved up society where like it's so easy with the disconnect with social media that people could just get into fights for no fucking reason.
Hmm.
Like I put up a stupid tweet. Like it was just a tweet. It didn't need a comment. It didn't need anything like that. It just maybe a like or so, whatever. It was just meant to be a funny little joke because that's what I use Twitter for, is to crack dumb jokes. And I
Hmm.
was like, I saw someone complaining about creating 5 minutes of content once a week, and they were like, sorry, no episode this week, guys. I just had too much going on. I can't do I'm like, 5 fucking minutes. And I was like, first of all, if you're doing a 5 minute episode, that's not a podcast. That is
Yeah.
a thought. That is one thought. Someone comments and goes, who are you to gatekeep what the term podcasting is? I'm like, I'm not gatekeeping any, like that fucking term comes in. I'm like, do you know what that means? And then they typed up the Google definition, and it was just this long back and forth thing. I'm like, yo, I just posted up a picture of if you type in on GIF, it's Karen. I typed in that, and it was
Mm.
the person with the woman and the guy that were outside with guns. And
Oh yeah,
it says call your manager. And I was like, just
yeah,
sent that to him. They unfollowed me and blocked me. I was like, I don't care. I was like, I was expressing the fact that like it's stupid. If you look at all these people who are cranking out content, trying to make
yeah.
something, then you were like, I can't put 5 minutes to just say a thought down. It's like fucking, it's not that hard. You got people that want to listen to you. It's like if I told you or I gave you the original Power Rangers outfit, the one that you played in all the time. And I was like, please wear it. And you're like, sorry, man, I just don't have the time. But you have nothing fucking going on. You just don't feel like doing it, or you're just like, I can't emotionally do this. I'm like, well, I fucking paid you $1 million to wear the damn Power Ranger outfit. Please wear the Power Ranger outfit.
All right, I probably would. I'd wear it for you. Um,
You'd do it
no,
for free, wouldn't you?
I would. I would. I have it on underneath this. You know, that's the thing, man. Is dude, I don't know how you feel like, but like it is, with all this shit, dude. I think it's depressing, man. With all this fucking lockdowns. To me, again, that now, my wife and I had COVID. We got both had it. And you know, and people are like, oh, you know, you can, and that's where you can tell. You can tell people. You know, I tell some of my friends, they're like, oh yeah, yeah, I had it too, man, or whatever, this or that. And you know, if everyone's like, well, what did you feel? I'm like, dude, I literally felt like the flu with less symptoms. That's what it felt like. I was just tired. And I'll tell you what though, the moment I started feeling better was the moment I started working out again. I was just like, you know what, fuck this. I am not going to be sick. But here's the thing. I fucking, my job, I was actually happy that I was sick. I was hoping I was going to get sick for a little bit longer so I could legitimately call into work sick. But that, you know, cause I hate calling in, but if I'm like, oh my God, if I have COVID, this might be the fucking, no one was going to, you know, deny me this. So, but yeah, you know, again, but it was like 3 or 4 days, and I was like, okay, I do feel it. I'm not feeling the best, and I literally started to work out again, and boom, within like literally, I think the day I started working out, the next day I was just like, I felt almost 100%.
Well,
But
that's why
again,
the
oh
elderly are so susceptible, is the fact of like they're not working out, they're not being able to eat the proper nutrients. Like they can't sit down and have like a burger, they can't sit down and have that type of stuff. Like my grandmom's gonna drink Ensure drinks because she just can't eat food anymore. It just doesn't work for her.
yeah,
So it's like no wonder that's the obvious target that's gonna get hit when it comes to the virus and stuff. But I'm like, people that want to like you got to be taking your vitamins. It's a giant health really realization of stuff of how weak we've really kind of become. Like when you start neglecting certain things, physical fitness is important, but it doesn't need to be this thing where it's like, well, I guess my New Year's resolution should be go to the gym because that's what everybody's resolution is. Then you're not going to stick with it. You got to actually want that change in yourself. You know, when you actually go like, I want to get a trainer. I hate looking in the mirror at
Mm.
myself. I think that stuff's needed, but people are like, but isn't that body shaming? You, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, there shouldn't be an excuse of why you can't change that. You can
Here's the
try your
thing.
damn
All right.
hardest.
And this is what I was going to say before, man. That fucking cosmopolitan, new cosmopolitan, this is healthy. And it's that big fat black woman in yoga fucking outfit, like doing a yoga pose. And they said, this is healthy. No, that's a fucking heart attack, actually. That's not healthy. That's actually high cholesterol, diabetes, bad for your back, bad for your heart, bad for your fucking body, your joints, everything. Like I said, I lost 30 pounds, and you would never see me before and be like, oh, you're overweight. Never. But if I lost 30 pounds, what the fuck does that woman have to lose? Probably 200. And again, everyone, this whole fucking thing, man, with people thinking they're, this is healthy or this is health beautiful. I didn't say about beautiful. I didn't say the word beautiful. If you said this is beautiful, I can't lie to that. It isn't to me, but that's subjective. Mm. Oh, this smells good. Ah, that smells like shit. Same smell, subjective. I get that. But to say it doesn't smell, that's where now we're fucking lying. To say this is healthy, that's a fucking lie. But here's what's so fucked up, man. Everyone is so damn brainwashed nowadays, or so entitled. Come back to why you getting abuse from customer service. Why do I get abuse from customer service? Entitlement. People think they're right. Guess what? You're fucking not. Best thing Socrates, when he said Plato, Socrates, the only real knowledge is knowing you know nothing. Socrates. Well, that's true. When you realize I don't know shit, well, that's a smart person. And what is everyone now? Everyone's a fucking expert in everything. I'm an expert in health. I mean, why? Because you watch someone say something, you regurgitate what the fuck they said. That's an expert?
That's
No,
why I
you're
tell people
you're a copier.
I'm an expert in nothing. I'm not a smart guy. I mean, we're just finding out everything that comes out that's supposed to be definitive information. No, it's not. It's never is because I can show
Nope.
you 50,000 articles that'll tell you that aliens do not exist and aliens are fake. Well, guess what? The government said, hey, you have 180 days counting from January 1st to release information on UFOs, passed
Well,
with the COVID-19 bill. So I'm like, you don't, because sometimes you don't have that process of information. Here
but
you
we don't
go.
even go that deep,
Well,
man.
look, you
I'm
said
talking about eggs.
yeah, well,
5 years ago, don't eat egg yolks. Now make sure you're eating egg yolks. And this is the paying people that are trusting
yeah, but
science.
those aren't good science examples. Let's look at the awesome science examples. Like you said Socrates and Plato, for instance. Did you know that they're now starting to look back like maybe Plato never even existed? It was like a Jekyll Hyde type thing where it was actually a dude going under a pseudonym. Now look at today's society. How many people do you see on Instagram or Twitter that go by a pseudonym? They don't use their real name because they're like, I'm a philosopher, and then they'll say a pseudonym. They'll say this because that means you have no ramifications upon what you just said. That's the issue of why I say use your real name on my show. So I don't have some dude coming on here spouting a bunch of stuff just to get views or get attention or just spark a rise out of people. But that's what everybody loves nowadays. Everyone's looking to pick at somebody. And that's why everyone is so sensitive. And they're like, we have to love everything, love everybody, love everyone looks beautiful. It's like, yeah, okay. But there is medical distinctions of when you are literally taking 2 seats up on an airplane, you kind of have to get a little bit healthier because you wonder why your foot's going fucking numb because you probably have diabetes.
Yeah, well, it's just like I was at the gym the other day and the guys were talking, and every time I interact with people, it's funny, man. People are like, "Dude, you need to do a fucking podcast. You need to do a TR and TV show." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, cool." But I'm too lazy.
You don't need to
But
do a podcast. You need to be on my podcast more.
yeah, whatever. Again, that's easier for me. It's easier to join. That click the join button. But I said we're at the gym, right? And I said this is Earth today. uh, Me, I think 45-pound plates are heavier than 20-pound plates. 25-pound plates. Earth. What do you have against 25-pound plates?
That's a
What?
good fucking point.
Wait, what? No, I mean, to me, they should all be treated the same. Yeah, but that one is heavier than that one. Well, that's your opinion. No, it fucking isn't. It's a fucking fact. That plate is heavier than that plate. That woman is fucking fatter than that woman. That dude is uglier than that dude. That guy's dumber than that guy. This is fucking true. And uh, to argue with it to me, it's insanity. What are you going to go back? That's a matter of opinion. No, it's actually not. If I see you in your car with a fucking mask on and rubber gloves, I know you're a fucking idiot. That's all.
Okay, hold on. Let's rationalize some of those people that might have a mask on while they're driving inside of their car, might be doing Uber Eats, and they might have to get out in a minute just to be able to grab food. So it's much easier to not keep putting the mask on. I did Uber Eats for a little while during the start of this pandemic, and I had the mask on because I literally, Ocean City is like, here's the restaurant, here's the restaurant, here's the apartment, they're all right beside each other. So it's like you
Mm.
really could just bicycle ride it.
I
So
love that. I
I,
love that thought, but when I know, okay, the other day I got cut off by a little fucking piece of shit like electric car cut me off. I was like, "You motherfucker!" Then I look at their license. I look at their fucking their bumper sticker, Biden Harris bumper sticker. I guarantee that person's either fucking fat, they're wearing a mask, or they're Asian. I pulled up next to them. It was a fat Asian woman wearing a mask. Boom, psychic.
I'm just saying when I'm driving and I was doing Uber for a while, I get so many people be like, "You're just a sheep, bro." And I'm like, Dude, I'm doing Uber, and you know how hard it is to keep hopping out of the car every 5 minutes
Yeah,
to
I
put
get
on a
that, man.
mask?
I get that. That's
Just
not
trying to
wrong.
make a quick
That's
buck
not.
here during these dark times that we're in. Dude's
That's
fucking
not.
in front of
Yeah.
me with a, like a one arm or something, saying, "You're all a part of Trump's America." And I'm like, "What are we talking about here? What are we doing? Why are we playing games? Why does everybody have to have a sticker on?" That's what gets me. And it started when I was a kid, when the parents would put the sticker on the back of their car saying, "My kid made honor roll." That's fine. I don't give a shit. That's cool. But then you put again and 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 again. Eventually, you got to get a new bumper because you have too many fucking stickers. They got them up on the window and shit. I'm like, now you're just showing off because you want everyone to know how awesome your fucking kid is and to see that you're a successful parent, even though you're an alcoholic, drunk piece of shit that hasn't amounted to anything in his life, but he's invested himself in his kids. I don't like that. I don't like this idea. And it's what we're kind of saying a little bit is the fact of like comparisons. Everything is a comparison. There's a benefit to it and there's a downside to it. And I think everyone's so focused on the downside of it that it's all like, why are you bragging about what you're having? It's like, because why would you brag about shit that you don't? And that's the issue, is that it creates a very, very big depression problem in the world when everyone is looking at everything everybody has. And he's like, I want that. I want that. It's this jealousy rage factor that gets mixed in with social media that turns into this conglomerate of fucking like Play-Doh you stepped on with your foot, where it's like, it's just mashed up ball of shit that is. I don't want to go off on a rant again. I don't want to. I'm having a good
You
day.
kind of just said. You kind of just said no,
Damn.
but and here's the thing. No, because you're passionate about it. Because it's the same. People like My own mom is like would say you need to control your temper because you yell too or you get angry. And my wife finally defended me. And she was like Jason's an angry. Jason's passionate. And when you're there's people that are passionate about nothing, man, or at least they haven't found what they're passionate about. And so you can hear the passion in your voice. You can hear. I mean, both of us. You can hear when you get all riled up. You can hear it's not just it's coming from like a place, you know what I mean? It's coming from like deep inside you. And I believe in I don't know if we talked about this or nothing, but I'm a Christian man and I believe in God and spirituality and I believe that we're spirit beings and I believe that those things come from our spirit,
We could tell
and
that from your bio on Instagram.
yeah, and I always tell it. I always talk about that because I believe what I believe. Again, and this is an interesting thing. People say to me, "Oh, you could, huh, what? Why do you believe that? You raised that way?" No, I believe it because I believe that's the truth. I believe that there's just like anything else. I believe. I think I'm doing this training right or I'm doing that thing wrong. You know what I mean? I don't get a $10 bill in the month, your check for hey, good thing. Thanks for being a Christian and supporting me, God. I don't get anything like that. It's what I believe to be
Every
true.
time you sign a paycheck to me, Satan gets a black eye.
Yeah, and exactly. And so, but it's just what I believe. But here, and then people always ask me this, well, how do you know you're right? And I go, I don't. It's called faith. I don't know
Thank
that I'm
you.
right. I
That's
don't.
that's my biggest problem with ideologies, but you used it in the best term, which was saying you believe. I hate when people are like, that's what it is. That's what it is. No. With all the information, how the world changes so much, you don't have any answer to anything. Nothing is
No,
definitive. This could
you
I
don't.
I couldn't
It's
even be
called
myself.
faith.
I could have been lied to at one point in my life, and my name couldn't actually be Robbie. It could be something completely different, but everybody's been lying to me ever since. That's what I'm saying is there's that other information that we don't know about because you got to look at the perspectives. There's more than just a flip of a coin. It's more than heads and tails. There's like 9 billion different perspectives and a bunch
Mm.
of other shit in our memories that we might not even know, not have the information to, never get the information to, but we run with the best possible solution. But no one thinks that. They go, no, this is law. This is answer. I'm like, there are no fucking definitive answers in life.
No,
There
and again,
only
but
promised thing is death.
That's why that there's faith, you know what I mean? But again, whether if you're mad at me for having faith in a book that was written thousands of years ago, I'm like, well, most of you guys are believing science books that are written by someone you didn't meet thousands of years ago. But the way I look at it is, like I said, here's the thing. Like I say, how do you know you're right? I don't. It's what I believe. But again, if I look at my life and I put my life on a against someone else's, yours or anybody else's, and I'm like, I think I'm happy. I think I'm blessed. I'd rather be right or wrong and happy than right and miserable. I know, another thing I think too is, when everything I always tell people I make a joke of it, but I'm serious, but I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious, but I'm joking. Where I'm like, oh, wait, you actually believe we were created? You don't believe? Yeah, I don't believe we came from monkeys. However, I met fucking people. I lived in Asia for 10 years. I've seen dudes that look like, there's like the fucking ape, the guy, like the third one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, that guy looks like that guy. Maybe I'm wrong. You know what I mean? And I fucking have a drink and laugh about it.
I thought
But
that was science that we were actually came from monkeys. And then someone's like, no, that's not true. I was like, yeah, I mean, I thought that was just what I was taught, I guess, in school. That was like we came from evolved from chimps or something. But then
here's my thing. Again,
hold
here's the
on, hold
thing.
on. My conclusion on this is I
Go.
saw a chimp at a zoo and my grandmom was filming it and I have it on recording. This chimp picked up a stuffed animal and immediately started masturbating with it. And I was like, we come from fucking apes. That's just fucking
Here's the thing.
science.
Here's the thing. Like, and this is my thing. Like, and and I'm saying this. Wisdom to me is better than knowledge. That wisdom. I always take wisdom. And again, the reason why is because not only as not, I think that's a true statement, but even the Bible says, of all things, ask for wisdom. So anytime I pray, I always ask for wisdom. I always want to have wisdom. But again, wisdom gives me things like this. People are like, I've had friends of mine say, "Oh, I'd love you to like be up." There's some famous atheist guy. I was on another podcast, and this guy was like saying to me, "Dude, do you know this guy?" And he's like this famous atheist, and he's like, anything you throw at him, he can debunk it. He goes, and they said, "Would you have an argument? I'd love to see you debate him." I'm like, "I'd love to too," because I'd just be sitting there, and I'd be like, "All right, before we start, can anyone? I just want to show of hands, saying this." If I got 100, here's the thing. Let's just look at facts. These are facts. It's not my opinion. This is facts. Please debate me, Robert. If you have,
I don't debate. I if you
please
if that's your
correct me. Please correct me if you don't agree with or if what I'm saying you don't know is to be a
did you
fact.
call
Again,
me Robert?
I did
How
because I'm
fucking
getting.
dare you?
I did. So this is the thing, man. I go like this. I say, listen, we've been studying chimps, like apes, gorillas, whatever, for a couple hundred years. You know what I mean? That there's documentation of people going to Africa and doing studies and staying there, whatever. Not much has changed for these motherfuckers in the last 100 years. We go back and they're like, oh my God, the same apes that we say, the family or whatever. Now instead of digging in their ass with their fingers, they're scratching their ass with fucking sticks. Holy shit, that's 100 years. Look at what we've done in the last 100 years. Kids today don't even know what a fucking Nokia phone is. You know what I mean? So I'm like, we've changed a fucking lot. And again, another thing I'd say is, okay, if I got 1,000 monkeys and I put them on a fucking deserted island and be like, left, what would happen if I came back in 10,000 years? Seriously. 10,000 years later, it'd be more fucking monkeys or dead monkeys because they don't eat each other. But there wouldn't be a fucking condo, a high rise, or a fucking community.
Well, it didn't happen over a couple of hundred years, is what they say.
I
It's
say
happened over
10,000. I don't give a
that's a
shit.
lot of time, though. That's like
Bottom
that's
line
like the
is,
old saying of like if you had a monkey that was typing infinite possible outcomes on a typewriter, how long until he types out the complete works of Shakespeare? It's like, is that fucking possible? I don't know, but we also don't know about dimensions. We don't know about if there's another parallel universe where I'm the fucking Power Ranger and you're the guy doing a podcast. You know what I mean?
uh,
You say that, but then how long were we running with information that there were 9 planets in our galaxy, 9 planets in our little solar system all lined up? And you know what the ninth planet was?
I mean, that keeps changing. It keeps going from a moon to a fucking thing to a rock. They don't know.
But what's
Bottom
the
line
name of
is
that
this:
planet? What's the name of that planet?
Pluto.
Okay, Pluto was the one that used to be a planet, but it turns out it's so small that they're like, it's not a planet anymore. There was another fucking planet between Neptune and Jupiter.
Yeah.
Nobody talks about. It got slowly through billions of years pushed out of our galaxy, and it's going to happen. I think they said in like 50 million or 100 million years that Jupiter is going to end up extending out of our galaxy to where we can't see it anymore. So, knowing that that's possible, knowing that in a million or 100 million years, however long we're alive, this species is, I don't think it's going to last that long. We're definitely going to be way dead before that. Um, but the concept of knowing that they might never know about that other planet. So, what information do we not know that has been changed through our evolution? That's all I'm trying to keep in perspective. I'm not denying faith. I'm not denying we came from monkeys. I have no fucking clue. And I don't know
Yeah.
if those answers will ever be revealed. But I
I
think
don't either, but I have common sense. And like I said, my thing is this. And again, what's so funny is because people call people that say things like me, and we don't haven't really that gotten in that deep shit, but with you and I personally, I know, obviously listen to some of your stuff and I try to follow you as much as I can, to get, more perspective on you. But, it's interesting because people call someone like what things like they say conspiracy theorists. I don't want to be late, but
I
you
toss
know,
out too many.
but the thing is like, is it really conspiracy when X amount of time later that thing ends up being proved? I remember in 9/11, I was, I was in my 20s, and I remember 9/11 happened. If you would have told me 2 years later 9/11 was an inside job, I would have wanted to fight with you, man. I'd been like, fuck you, it was fucking terrorist, Iraq. Dude, I don't think, and I think a lot of people felt that way. All these years later now, how many years later 9/11 is, and I don't think there's I don't out of every 100 people, how many people you go 9/11 happened at face value? How many people out of 100 be like, "Oh yeah," or no, there's some bullshit there. There's no way there's no way you can look at that and go, there's no bullshit there. So what I'm simply
I
saying
mean, they
is,
already released the bullshit, though.
well, that's what I'm saying, but there's still people that will deny and say no. You know what I mean? But my point is, imagine if right now we have this data and no one's doing that. That's what. Well, there are people that are doing it. People like me are doing it. But imagine in 9/11 if we instantly had the knowing that what we know now. Imagine if we had real time data of what was going on during 9/11. People would have been looking at it going, wait a sec, what the fuck is that? Wait, what? Okay, hold on, what? But we have all this same data now with this whole COVID thing and everything that's going on in the world. But no one's putting the 9/11 microscope on it or a filter going, wait, what? I am. I think there's people that are. And we're the people that are like, okay, wait a second. Wait a second. The flu's gone. The common cold and the flu are gone now. Okay, wait a second. Wait a second. The virus magically takes a time out while I'm eating. Wait a second. Again, I don't know if I said this on your show last time or whenever. I'm like, it to me, where this fucking 6 foot thing and the mask and all this shit, it's like having a piss section in a swimming pool. You know, uh, okay, I gotta pee. Well, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. No, 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 just pee over there and you'll be fine. I'm
And swim
back.
back there.
You know what I mean? Oh, we're fine because he peed in the pee section. This is the epitome of fucking bullshit. And all that it shows, everything that I've been thinking the last X amount of years is fucking right. People are just literally regurgitate information. Whatever they see, they just say it, or they take the media, they take the news, they take this and that, books or science, and this is facts. And it just fucking isn't. And they're using the ability of using common sense is gone. I can prove that right now. How many phone numbers do you
Hold
know?
on, let's close some doors real quick. The way that people are thinking of it is the concept of that you're looking at this government or you're looking at whatever news source as how they've been kind of played intended to be, which is supposed to be like this thing that has all the answers, the thing that's going to give you information to better enhance your life. But people don't realize how flawed all that shit is because there's people that are involved with it and people are known to make mistakes. So I am not, as much as I talk shit on the government, I also rationalize a lot of the stuff they do. For instance, 9/11 inside job style stuff. We had gotten a warning about there was going to be a terroristic attack on one of our major historic or one of our major sites, but nobody fucking listened. We took it as like they're just bullshitting. Then it happened. Then they had to cover up that fucking lie. They're like, oh, we wait a minute, we knew about it. Well, we can't just let people know that we knew about it. So eventually they had to cover all that shit up. It's the same example I could use if you had a daughter or you had a son, but before you had your kid, about 10 years when you were in your 20s or something, you did a list of killings and you've been keeping that from your kids and you've been doing everything. But dad, you were in the same place as this killer on this day, and then you moved countries and even did it over here at the same time they found these killings over here. How do you explain that? Then you lied. You create these little lies and stuff just to keep your kid protected. It's the same thing they're trying to do with us. It's just not fucking right because some people should have the right to know and some people shouldn't. Now, when it comes to the idea of Fox News, any of these news sites, the issue is Fox News considers themselves entertainment. They don't consider themselves news, but somehow they brainwashed us to think that Fox News is fucking news. I guess it's because it's in their name. But they even call when so many times they have been sued, they have came out and say, "Oh, we're not news though. We're entertainment." It says in our liability. Whereas entertainment, like WWE is entertainment. And you're like, what the fuck? Like you're supposed to be the news source. That's where everyone talks about. What'd you see? I saw that on Fox. It's like, all right, CNN, they're entertainment as well. So you're like, hold on a second. So these aren't actual news sources. These are people that are manipulating them to whatever they wanted to be. Here's the big kicker. Alex Jones, for instance. Now, you can call me a conspiracy theorist because I do toss out a lot of theories and there's a lot of stuff. Like you said, it does end up becoming real.
Mhm.
That guy has been so pushed into the media as all this bad type thing. And the main thing they focus on is Sandy Hook, which he admits was a mistake. But it's like if you found out the government was doing all this shady shit, then you keep diving in that rabbit hole and diving in that rabbit hole, you'll go fucking nuts. That's why most people that are conspiracy theorists are schizophrenic because they can't trust anybody. They think everything's fucking fake. They think birds aren't real. They think all this type of shit. Because once you find one thing that you couldn't ever think in your wildest dreams could be real, is fucking real, then you find another thing that's real, then you find another thing that's real, and you're like, hold on a minute. Our whole entire space program was developed by Nazi ideas? Like, what? They were the bad guys. And then you literally, your brain just goes break, and then it just breaks inside of itself, and you don't know what to believe. So
But
then
here's the funny thing, though. You say that stuff because the things you've touched on, like again, again, we, whether you want to go down a fucking rabbit hole or not, or what might be, we might need a fucking weekend, fucking like lock in together. But here's the thing, I don't believe NASA's real. I think it's all bullshit. I don't believe that. I believe again so much. But here's the thing. Interesting, you said that. No, I wanted to touch on. I do not feel that thing where, oh, I don't believe everything. No, that's no. I don't believe things that look like shit. That'd be like just because I ate a bad donut one time, I'm never gonna not eat. There was a shit filled donut. Fuck. I poop was in cat poop was inside. It doesn't mean I'm gonna quit eating donuts, and it doesn't mean I might be a bit careful. I might break it in half first and be like, wait, any of these donuts got shit in them? No, oh, that smells good. I'm gonna eat the donut still. So I don't, me personally, I don't feel in that trap at all of the, oh my god, everyone's out to get us. I don't feel that way at all. But guess what I think? I think shit that smells like shit is shit. And when come on, dude, like again, how many people do you go when you ask people about the moon landing? Again, I this was the thing. I wanted to go to space camp as a kid. You know what I mean? I loved watching the National Geographic things and the Hubble and all. It's all shit to me. It's all fucking lies. When you ask people since 1969 when we supposedly went to the moon, do you know how many times? I'll ask you this question in real time to answer it. Do you many times you may know the answer. How many times since 1969 have we went back to the moon? Go. What is the answer to that?
zero.
Zero. No, I didn't know that. I was just like, I thought we were there all the time. And when you hear from NASA's mouth, we don't have the technology to go back. Are you fucking kidding? And that's from NASA. We don't have the technology to go back to the moon, but we got a thing moving around the rings of Saturn. Come fucking on, dude.
I'm with you on the moon thing. I've talked about that before, and I actually had an anthropologist go, "You don't think we landed on the moon?" I said, "No, I don't think we got there when we said we got there. I think we definitely filmed it." And I think it was a thing of like you got to understand, but it all comes from perspective. Like me and her were talking. She's very, her name's Karen, by the way. But I told her I was like, I'm so sorry about how the world hates your name.
Yeah.
But it's this thing. She was telling me. She goes, well, like George Washington, for instance, his teeth weren't made of wood. They were made of
Hmm.
slave teeth. Okay.
Hmm.
But if you said that to people, they're not going to fucking like the country that they're living in. They're not going to
Mm,
want that to be the regime. So they had to guise it up and make it look all pretty, kind of like Santa Claus. And you end up getting told it's a lie later. That's why so many people were snapping during this thing and having riots and stuff because they started looking at, oh my God, so much of our history that we've been taught to has been lied to because it was fed through the eyes of the winner. Now, when people say the Native Americans, we took their land, we did. But you got to understand, I've read plenty of books on the Comanches and all these Native Americans that we took land from. They were eating each other and they were cannibalistic. That's
mm,
not saying they're bad people, but the morals of that time, they grew up in a completely different place. And it goes back to what you
mm.
said about Africa and apes and whatever it is, like just learning to evolve from there. And they're still scratching their ass or whatever. They learned by watching the animals that inhabited that area. So my theory is maybe we didn't come from chimps. Maybe we're just learning and we all have distinct certain traits or characteristics that we pick up from each other. We learn from or chimps to break things, to learn to evolve, and we're a whole separate species. We might not even evolve from them.
So let me ask you, can I ask you a question? Are you allowed to talk about this? If you said I don't want to talk about it, I totally respect it. So I mean, so
What?
do you believe in a creator?
Do I believe that there's an entity? I have no fucking clue, and that's why
Right.
I
Because
I
here's my thing.
I get I can get religious when I get close to death. I've had
I'm not talking about religious. Again, I brushing your teeth every morning is religious. I'm not talking about that. Um, and I have a because I lived in Singapore for so long. I had a lot of Australian friends, and Australians, unlike Americans, most Americans grow up with some kind of, oh, I was raised Catholic or I grew up in a Baptist home or da 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 da. Australians is like. I don't want to misquote it, but to me, it's like I would say 80% atheist. They just do not believe in any kind of God or anything like that. Where even in Americans will be like, well, I think there might be something there. You know what I mean? It's like, and where Australians like they just don't recognize that at all. And I said this to an atheist friend of mine. Again, I have a lot of friends that are atheists, and guess what? They one of the biggest compliments I ever got, ever from anybody, directors, manager, whatever, just a person, said to me, Jason, I've been an atheist my whole life, and I'm really convinced that I'm right. You're the first person that makes me think I might be wrong, and that's the biggest compliment I've ever got on anything in my life, anything to this day. And I said this to them: people that don't believe in a creator. Just let's go from there in a creator. I say this to you. So you think it's all an accident. Okay. It has to be then. Because if you don't believe in creation or you go down the road of the Big Bang, it's the perfect accident. Well, it's not only this perfect accident keeps happening over and over, but here's the difference. You're going to base then your intelligence, your ability to reason, everything like that off an accident. Well, okay. It's a massively flawed theory. I believe that we are created. I believe in a creator. And I believe, here's the thing, I think deep down, which is why they say there's no atheists in the trenches, no atheists in the foxholes. People are on a plane that's going to go down. You hear everyone crying. I have friends, atheists, their whole life. Oh, my mother got cancer. Jason, will you pray for me? Interesting. Because I believe there's deep down something, a piece of the creation inside us all. And here's the difference. I think everyone knows that. I think everyone knows it deep down. Everyone feels it, or they get in a traumatic situation where they realize it. But why not then just go with it? Easy accountability. The moment I say something created me, now I have something to answer for, which is why people love. I believe in something. I believe in nature. I believe in the universe. I believe in unicorns. But the thing is, because there's no accountability to that. You're saying the same thing I'm saying, except I labeled it. And we can go to, oh, yeah, dude, that's the problem. You're labeling it. Yeah, I am. I'm labeling it. Why?
okay.
Because I'm supposed to. But at the end of the day, I believe everyone knows it. I believe everyone feels it. And the difference is that you don't want to be accountable. That's what I think.
Okay, so understand from me talking to so many different people, I've
Mm-hmm.
just ruined my brain with multiple different perspectives. So I'm looking at everyone's perspectives when I give you an answer. I'm looking at the fact of like, imagine you were so 100% that like, oh, you have to eat and work out every single day and there's no such thing as overtraining. Every article you've ever read said that that was 100% true. You're going to be so fight. That's why politics are so hard. So many people are so liberal or they're so Democratic or Republican is because all the information and everything they've seen has enhanced their perspective in that direction to where anybody else that goes up there goes, no, you're wrong. And it's like so clear cut of like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say? I don't know if there's a creator. Do I think in my mind, if you're asking my honest opinion on this, if I think there's some fucking Dr. Manhattan or whatever dude, fucking white beard, whatever, sitting on a golden throne on Mars saying bam, and he snaps his fingers and shit gets created. I don't think that's a thing. But do I think there's an essence and an energy? Not saying the universe, but maybe that is God. Maybe
Mm,
that is what God is. Maybe it's something that we can't explain and you
that's what
put a
I think.
label on it and it's
That's what
something
I
that's
think.
all around us and it's all inside of us. The craziest thing is with this alien shit, why I get so hyped up on this is like it boosts a theory, if that is a possible thing, that there is a creator and it's not the one, just one being, it's a species of beings and we're their fucking ants in a little ant farm. They decided, hey, let's test this out, let's drop a little bit of this on this planet. Next thing you know, they come back and they're just watching us like reality television. Like, these things are fucking fascinating. When do we introduce ourselves? Maybe they've always been here, maybe they've always been playing a ploy, and me even saying that sounds nuts. But with everything that's happened, I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to rule any of that out. Do I think that there's one person that created everybody? No. Is it a possibility? Sure. I'm not saying it's not, but
Well,
in my
yeah, I
mind,
mean,
I
you're a
haven't.
smart enough kid to you're a smart enough person to know anything's possible. If you said to me the opposite of what everything I said, is it possible? I'd be like, yeah, it's fucking possible. I don't know if it's probable. I don't think accidents, the same accident is perfect accident of the sun and moon and all the things every day were happening over and over again for thousands.
But who said that was a perfect accident? Maybe that was a fucking horrible thing that happened. So
But what
if
I'm
you look
saying
at the
is
eyes of some
consistency,
people,
though.
yeah, but well, it goes back to the million monkeys or whatever, the one monkey typed on a keyboard a million times till something happens. Who's to say that was even the fucking thing that was supposed to happen? It was just this freak fucking thing. You ever end up like go to a gumball machine, you turn the 25 cents or whatever to get a gumball and you end up getting two? That wasn't supposed to fucking
Well, here's
happen,
the
but it
thing. But here's
happened.
the thing. At the end of the day, so here's the thing, and I agree with everything you're saying. But here's my thing again now. So let's just say, let's just say you're right, or not you, but anyone who believes what they believe is right. Okay. That what are we then? Well, we die, and then what happens? Do you believe in life after death? You know, that's a whole nother thing. You don't have to answer that one. But let's just say hypothetically, you're right. You're right. And we just die and we just sleep and no longer exist. I know I've been drunk or high enough where I'm like, it's interesting because everyone can't wait to get home and go to bed when you're tired, but everyone's so terrified of that eternal sleep. You know why? Well, if it's just going to bed. So here's the thing. Let's just go down this way. I didn't know we are going to be talking about this
Well,
kind of
that's why
shit,
I
but
love religion is the fact that it gives people hope that there is something else. Because I mean, the fear of like when you die and there's nothing, that's the scariest fucking thing. And that's when
okay.
I was
See, to
mentioning to
me,
you, well, I said when people get religious, and you said no, religious is brushing your teeth. Well, when people look for hopefully another thing after this life is
mm,
when they're all at the red line, when they get to that point, because you could be an atheist your whole entire life, but when you're on your deathbed and it's your final moments, you want to pray to God or you want to pray to somebody that
that's what I'm saying.
this
Why?
isn't the
Why?
because it's been influenced into our head that ever since you're a kid that there's just this being, this thing that's going to take care of you and bring you up to the pearly gates. That's a perfect thing. But then it dives even deeper when people start creating different realities of what heaven is. What is heaven? Is heaven a place where you get to be with all your friends and family? Well, a lot of it in
I don't
depictions
know.
I've seen through religion and other different types of culture have been that heaven is just a replay of your memories. So I'm like, what's that? What is your heaven? Your heaven is so individually different. So maybe it's not just one thing, maybe it's a multiple different things. But here's the fucking hard part. Think of this. In maybe 100 and 200 years from now, we might discover another dimension. And that's just slightly just like this one, but slightly off. So eventually you tell your kid or your grandkid, go to your room, you're grounded. Okay, he goes to his room, he's grounded. You sit there and go, I want to check on him, make sure he's still there. He's not there in his room. Where is he? Then you have to check dimension A, dimension B, and dimension C. It's all fucking Earth, but they're all different things. You hear about the paranormal, maybe that's another dimension. That's why I say keep that thought in there. You don't, that's why when people are so definitive on something as this is 100% true, I'm fine with you believing that. I don't give a shit, but don't try and convince somebody else that that's what they have to believe. And that's
Oh
why
yeah,
I got my minister's license because of that, because
yeah.
of people screaming on the boardwalk, telling people that they're condemning them to hell because they don't believe in a deity. And to be saved, they have to find a deity. I'm like, what the fuck is explaining Buddhism and all this other types of shit that's out there? Everyone is so influenced by that one thing. You just got to understand that that's not everybody's train of thought.
But and that's the thing. Like I said, I believe what I believe, and I love entertaining other people's thoughts and other people's even. I love even the criticism to come back at me and say like, well, I think you're crazy for thinking. Ah, that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. I think you're crazy too. So I mean, we're good. But
I
I'm all
think you're
good with that.
smart for having
Um,
that. What do you
No,
think?
I think, but again, am I trying to convince or condemn? No, I'm not. I'm just trying to, just like anything else. I think this is a good path. And no different than if, like I said, I'm a huge believer in intermittent fasting. Other people try it, it's not for them. Other people try it, they love it, changes their life. So again, I'm a big believer in it. I love how it's changed my life. Um, in that thing in me that would just say, "Hey, dude, oh my God, I used to buy, you know, gas over here right around the corner. You get the same gas and it's 10 cents off or 20 cents off a gallon." I'm only telling you that because I care. I actually have a thing where I actually care about people and I want them to be well. I want people to be successful. I want people to be prosperous. And again, at the end of the day, if we're all successful and we're all prosperous, we're all happy, the world's going to be a better place. The reality is nobody's happy right now. Everyone's miserable. Everyone, you know why? I think people are trying to rationalize the insanity. Man, I tell you, I pray about this stuff, man. I don't want to, and I'll say this. I prayed this with my wife just make a week ago. So thanks for letting me share this. But I prayed to be delivered from the spirit, or I call it the spirit, but the idea of reasoning. I don't want to reason too much because I can reason on this and that. But again, reasoning about the future, reasoning about my life, it can paralyze someone who's smart because you can start going down all these paths and thinking all these things, and you can be paralyzed by your own thoughts, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to be addicted to reasoning. I want to, if I do believe what I say I believe, and I want to trust God, I just want to do that. I do want to trust God. Just like with anything. Mr. Miyagi said, you walk karate, yes, or karate, no. You walk in the middle of the road, or you walk left side, okay. You walk right side, okay. Walk in the middle of the road, you get squished like a grape. And there's so many people that are wishy-washy on their faith, on their belief. I'm not talking on both sides. I'm an atheist. And then, like you said, they get into trouble. Well, now they want to pray. True atheism should say, "Fuck you, God. I'm not praying." How many religious people are like, "Oh, I trust God. I trust God. I trust God." Bad shit happens. I don't know what to do. Where's that trust go? You're walking you're walking in the middle of the road, man. Most people are. I'm not perfect. I've been there too, man. I've been there too. I'm praying right now for something, man. You
How
know what I
would
mean?
you okay, how would you describe me? What would you say what would you if you were gonna describe me, how would you describe me? Would you say I'm a science guy? Would you say I'm what?
I don't know. I think you said, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we're all a byproduct of our environment. And I think you come from a bunch of, like you said, you probably obviously have more, when doing these podcasts and things like this, um, just like the customer service thing, it's an energy exchange, right? Even though it's over the radio or over the video or over the internet, it's still an energy exchange. And I do think you absorb people's energy, for good or for bad. I think anyone does, not just you, everyone does. But you're putting yourself in a more absorbing place than most people would, especially especially as a young person. You're not so stuck in your ways. So you're open minded, and it allows you have to be open minded in the nature of what you're doing, at least in my opinion. Starting out, you're not like some Joe Rogan where you're like, "Fuck you, I'm here, blah blah blah, it's my shit." I think you're smart enough to know you got to play the game, you know, and so I think you have that. I think, but true honest, let me be super honest and psychoanalytical of you, or what is it called? Psychoanalysis of you. I think, I think you might be afraid. And here's, and I don't know how deep this is getting supposed to get or whatever, but you could be afraid, and you know what? And I think that's good. I think that's great. And you know what? I wish I was more afraid when I was younger, because fear makes it, and not afraid, or oh my God, it's paralyzing me, but awareness of danger. People, I'm not afraid of anything. Will you touch fire? Oh, I'll touch fire. No, you're stupid then. You should know that fire is dangerous, you know? And I think in the world that we live in, and I think all the conversations you're probably having with people, it gets scary because the future, like you even said it, you just said it a little bit ago. I don't think we're going to last that long. Why do we people think that? Why does someone your age think that? When we could see the evolution of technology, look how much better my phone is now than 5 years ago. Look how much better this is than it. Because the reality is, you're smart enough to see that. I think the real truth, and this is an evil world. run by evil people. I believe that there's spirits and dark forces. These aliens, they ain't motherfucking green people. They're fucking spirits and dark forces. What's heaven? I don't know. I don't know. What's God? Well, I'll tell you what God is. Let's look at God by his own definition. God is a spirit. God is not some guy. And that's why people can't understand. Again, time's created for us. Well, what came before God? Nothing. Doesn't matter because we don't, if you think time's man made, well, then time's created for us. God's outside of time. And so for me, I'm looking at all this stuff. You want to hear, you go crazy, you want to go deep, crazy. When I was a kid, man, I was about 15 years old, and I grew up watching a TV show. It was I don't even remember, but the guy's name was Jack Van Impe, and he was a Bible. The Book of Revelation is the last chapter of the Bible, and it describes the end times. Do you know how many people? I don't know. You're a smart kid. Do you know how many people are completely unaware that the Bible it talks about one world government, one world currency, things that they're saying in the news right now. The Bible's been prophesizing this for thousands of years. The Bible prophesies that Israel would become a nation again. 1940, let me think, 1948, Israel became a nation again. After thousands of years, Israel becomes a nation again. The Bible prophesies that once Israel becomes a nation again, that will be the last generation before the end, you know. And now, interesting, a generation in the Bible is between 70 and 90 years. They're not true exactly sure, but do 80 years from 1948. Where are we at? We're here, man. We're here. Now, is that all fucking coincidence? Maybe it all fucking is. Maybe Corona is real. Maybe there is no God. Maybe NASA's fucking real, and there is a 10th planet between Mars and Uranus. You know, but I used to think when I was a kid, man, I was just like, again, in the Bible talks about, the when at the end times when Christ comes and gets the church and all these people go missing, says two in the field, one will be taken, two in the bedroom, one will be taken. And I used to think, how are they going to explain that? You know what I mean? If this is real. Now they've done movies about it, like Left Behind was a book series. They turned it into a shitty movie and all that stuff like that. But again, let's just entertain my thoughts for a moment. What if I'm right? I could be completely wrong. This could be a complete insanity. And you go, dude, this dude's crazy. And I'm like, yep, cool. But what if I'm right? And what if there's God that created this guy, Christ, and he's coming back and people are going to be taken away? How do you explain that? Well, let's condition everyone from the beginning. First radio show ever, first public radio show. When what was it? Radio comes on, no TV, radio show. What's the first radio show? Do you know what it is?
Probably a religious channel.
No, War of the Worlds. War of the
No, that
Worlds
was
was
the
the
that wasn't the first radio show. That was the first broadcast.
first broadcast. That's what I'm saying. But first broadcast. But what are they doing? Right from the beginning, we're initiating. There's life on other planets,
But it was a
right?
fake broadcast.
I know, but they're still initiating it. Again, it's just programming. Again, I believe, again, this is go to humor me. I believe from the beginning we're programmed with Star Wars. Now, um, let me ask you this. Everyone knows Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Everyone
What?
knows that. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Everyone knows that. And they make
I didn't
memes
know
about
that.
it.
I thought he
Shut
did.
the
The
fuck
news
up.
the news told me he did.
But everyone making fun of it, right? But now we had aliens, we had abduction, we have this and all this stuff, and now we've been conditioned with the whole what's the biggest money making movie of all time? Avengers Endgame, biggest money making movie. What happens? There's a snap, and half the world's population disappears. I'm telling you right now, the way I believe. Again, call me crazy. Maybe it's my weed. It's really strong, but I believe that there's going to be memes when people are gone with Jesus with the Infinity Gauntlet going, oh, I guess Jesus must have snapped. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely insane. But here's the thing. If I'm right, y'all motherfuckers are fucked.
Here's my
That's the
thing
only thing.
of why I say I'm not science and I'm not religion, because I poke holes at both of them. I basically just poke them with a stick and see which one gives me an answer. Because a lot of
Sure.
times the answer is never definitive and is never anything. The reason I think I agree with science a lot of the time is because it does try and find evidence in something. But then I also look at it like you don't know if that evidence is real. That's just your hypothesis and you made it match
Right.
up to make that. My idea of religion, if you really wanted to ask me if I was going to be religious, what would I believe in? I would tell you that I don't believe that there is one entity, at least that's around 24/7. I think at one point, if we were created by something, but I think he's long gone. I think eventually this is what happens in society when a maker looks and sees, I'm too old for these toys and throws them off to the side. And next thing you know, you're on a planet with a bunch of people trying to figure it out without this guiding invisible hand that's trying to help you out in every scenario. So after thousands and thousands of years of that, a bunch of people stopped being religious on the concept of why the fuck when I turned to God did nobody help me? Well,
Mm,
why would he help you? If somebody gave me ability to be like, hey, Dr. Manhattan came down from the sky, was like, hey man, I put on some clothes just to ask you this one question. If I was going to give you one chance to ask me anything in the world of what you would want to know, what would you want to know? You want to know about religion? You want to know if God's real? I would say no, because then I would have the answer and then I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I would be forever changed for the rest of my life. It's like finding out on a piece of paper if I wrote down the day you were going to die. Would you want to look at that? Would you want to know the exact moment that you're going to die? It would change your whole decisions all the way up to that point. That means you can skydive, you can fucking bungee jump and whatever. And even if the rope breaks and you hit the ground 100 after like 5,000 feet, you're not going to die because that's not the day you were destined to die.
mm.
I wouldn't want to know that because that changes who I'm going to be and who I'm going to shape myself up. If I do get to the end and I do meet a creator out there, I want to know that every decision I did was based on my own perspective and not something giving me the fucking answer. And I think that's why mystery is so important. Now, to hit with science, for instance, like I said, I'm not a fan of science either. They are always trying to throw a label on something, and that's the issue, is that that's why I get so passionate when people talk about stuff like this. It's not that you're angry, it's you're passionate because
Mm.
you're literally shitting on what someone believes in, and you can't do that just because you can say, well, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Let that person believe whatever the fuck they want to believe.
See, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I don't get angry
I'm not talking
if
about
some
you, I'm talking
yeah,
about
I'm saying again because I don't get angry, but just clarify, I don't get angry if someone shits on what I believe in. I'm always like again, like I hear that and I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's an interesting theory what you just said about like the creator leaving and all that. I get it, man. It's cool. It's cool to think about. Like I said, at the end of the day, though, at the end of the day, I believe at the always the what you believe is based on what you experience. And that can change. You know what I mean? That can change. Motorcycles are safe, man. I love motorcycles. And you've been riding a motor for 20 years. You get fucking in an accident, it's possible that you'll never get on a bike again. I used to do fucking, tumbling as a Power Ranger in my job. I would tumble. Dude, I didn't tumble for a while. I remember hurting my wrist. I went back in my backyard to go, and I was going to throw a back handspring. And dude, I was fucking terrified. And I'm like, okay, I just need to get the I'm just going to do it. I went out and got my mattress. I pulled it outside. I put my mattress on the ground. I stood on my mattress. I'm like, I'm going to just jump. I'm going to do a back handspring. Boom, I did it. It was kind of shitty, but I'm like, the mattress kind of hurt my hands. So I'm going to move the mattress. I landed on my fucking head. I was probably 26 at the time. I've never done another back handspring since. Scared me. I almost died. I felt like I heard my neck crunch. And I'm like, thank you, God.
you
I
said
was
that
saved.
story the first time on the episode, but you didn't tell me that you never did it again.
I never did it again. Mm-mm.
Hmm.
No, and I never did it again, and it because it scared me so much, it impacted me so much. My point is that something can happen to you that affects you so much where you're like, man. And for me, I've never been affected where I felt there wasn't God, but I do believe I've been infected enough, and many a times affected, that to me there is. There's just so many things in my life where I'm like, man, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences.
I think religion is 100% needed. That's why I never try and dismiss anybody of having it. Like I see it where like somebody could look at like their baby being born. I mean like
Mhm.
there is a God. There's no way that this thing could just be created. I could see where someone could believe that. I've had
Sure.
moments where like I've had a really really bad year and next thing I know, I saw a butterfly just get missed by a car and I had one of those religious experiences of like, "Oh my God, that's what life is. We're just that butterfly floating through and just getting missed by that car." But then I
Mm.
realized a second later, like, wait a minute, if that butterfly would have got hit by that car, would have a different effect on everything. Like that's life. Life is shit. You
But
really
again, that right there is what I just said to you before when I said, "Where are you?" You do. It's called it's reasoning. It's not bad, but you can get down to the point where you get that paralysis of overanalysis, and then now you don't believe anything. Well, is that good or bad? Again, that's going to be subjective too. I just think at the end of the day, I think you gotta. I think your life, from my opinion, your life is better when you stand for something.
yeah.
When you have something, when you just stand for something,
That's why
whether
I
it's
said
like
that's why I said belief
I
is good.
stand. Yeah, I just think that. But for you personally, I think that's what it is. I just think it's analysis. I think you're so analytical, and I don't again. It's the bless everyone's best. Usually, your biggest weakness is also your biggest strength, or your biggest strength is usually your biggest weakness. I care so fucking much about people. I love you so much. When now something happens to that shit, that's the thing now that I'm hurt from. You know what I mean? I'm so fucking strong. Well, everything I do now, I'm breaking shit around the house. It's my biggest strength, but it's my biggest weakness. Your biggest strength is the fact that you're able to absorb people's information, absorb their point of view, see it from their perspective. But your biggest weakness is you can absorb people's point of view. You're absorbing people's perspective, and you may not have one of your own now.
I think
You
if
know
you
what
were
I'm saying?
if you were gonna ask me about the end game of what it is going to be, my end
Yeah.
choice of whether I'm not siding with religion or science, I don't fucking know.
Mm,
But I'm open to whatever the hell it is. It's like a Christmas present. Like I'm waiting for that day when I can finally tear into that motherfucker and open it up and be like, "Oh, is it socks? Is it whatever it is?"
yeah.
I'm waiting for it and I'm not going to rush it. You know what I mean? There's this whole thing of idea of like I want to know what's out there. I want to talk to people that have passed on. I want to hear this. I've heard both accounts of people that seeing something and people that didn't see anything.
Mhm.
Do I know what's out there? No, but that's what I fucking love. It's that I don't have an answer. It's not that I don't give a shit. It's that I just don't have one. And I
Right.
think
Well, no
that's
one
that's
does. No
that
one does.
that's the important part though. Is
No
that
one should, at least. No one
yeah,
does have the answer. They have a bunch of opinions based on, you. Again, like I said, I'm preface for everything I said. Do I believe? Of course I believe it. That's why I'm saying it. You know what I mean? But do I know? No, it's called faith. I'll probably never know. Even biblically, I don't know. Faith is the substance of evidence and hope for.
you got
The
to
the
poke
subs
some holes at religion though when it comes to the concept of how there's still a percentage of people that die are newborns that die every single year based on circumcision. I'm just saying there's an
again,
account.
I hate religion.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
I
like
hate
that shit.
I no, I hate religion. I hate religion is religious. I don't consider myself religious. I consider myself having a relationship with God. That's the difference, you know.
That's why a lot of
It's
people don't choose to worship in a church. They choose to worship at home because they don't
yeah.
like that conformed idea anymore.
I believe that there's a good time to have fellowship. Again, to me, this is church. This is church right now. Whether you know it or not, but this is church. And if you're watching, you're getting church right now. Church for the masses. Um, and
You
it's
told
a
me you
thing.
were a Power Ranger, not a pastor.
Maybe well, I was, but I think I've always been both, and I'll always be both. But the thing is, what I'm saying why it's church is because, it's two people just talk. This is what church is to me. Church is not going to somewhere and giving somebody a collection basket going around and
I was going to say,
bullshitting.
if this is church, I would be more than happy to sign up and go to church every single
Well,
Sunday,
here's
but
the
it's
thing.
not what it
Okay,
is
so let
anymore.
me, but no, it's not what it ever is. It's not what it ever was. And here's the fucking problem with it. Okay, how do you get someone who's not a believer to go to church to into the place that they already believe? You walk into any church. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm Buddhist. Go. I'm talking to you like you're a Buddhist. I'm Christian. I'm the pastor. I'm talking to you like you're a Christian. I'm, whatever. I'm a Baptist. I'm a Muslim. Welcome to what you're not doing the kneeling and stuff. How can you do the thing when you're never taught the thing? And there's no place to fucking teach it.
I don't know the example you're going with.
No, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, how do you teach? How do you teach someone about God? Truly teach them when the establishments are already coming from the perspective that you know what I'm talking about.
When I was a kid, the reason I stopped going to church because my cousin's all about the church, is I
Mhm.
didn't like the idea of it because every time I asked a question about why is this, and I kept getting the answer because that's how it is. It,
Okay, because that's stupid. That's stupidity. And here's the thing. But here's the problem with that. You said you're going to church as a kid. I guarantee young Robbie wasn't going to like, what are we doing? Nintendo or nah, let's hit church. No, you were forced to go there. There's a totally difference in anything you were forced to do as a child because your parents did it, as opposed to, okay, I grew up listening to the Temptations. Great. I still like the
Well,
Temptations.
here's a weird thing about me when I was in that thing. I understand what you're saying. Being forced is going to be like, oh, then you're never going to enjoy it. The one thing I really did appreciate though wasn't the sermons, was when that I would get into the room with all the other little kids that were in there and the parents that were in there, and I would hear them play songs and just
Mhm,
people that were in such love and admiration for this
mhm,
thing that might be true or might not be true. But
mhm.
having this love and affirmation where I was sitting in that room like, holy shit.
No, but
Like,
I'm just saying in general, not religious or church or anything. Anything that you've done and is experienced where you have to do when you're a child or with your parents, that's a totally different something when you choose to do it by yourself later on in life. That's
masturbation.
all I'm saying. Well, sure, I don't masturbate in front of my parents.
You're doing it wrong. Um, but it's a concept of like, I think I've always from I don't know. I feel like I've been gifted with this ability to like I've been put in very weird scenarios in my whole entire life. I feel like I'm just out of like what you would call a simulation, I would say. Just I'm that
Mm,
odd peg out where everything around me, there's just weird shit that always happens 24/7. But it's given me the hindsight to look at a lot more things closely, being a little bit more analytical of stuff. And I see those beautiful moments where people are singing together out of pure love and joy and happiness and just wanting the world to be a better place. But then I also see the perspective of other things as well. So it's really hard for me when I hear someone say that they're 100% one-sided because I'm like, I understand that. I believe that you are entitled to that 100%. But then trying to change someone's ways, and that's the issue of what we see in the world today. Is a lot of
mm.
people want to take their opinions and shove it in another person's face. You see it all over Twitter. So many people are like, "Oh, this is this." I saw 50 something tweets today about with Georgia or whatever that passed, where a bunch of people are like, see, it's not Trump's America, not Trump's America. You're a Trumper, get off my friends list. It's like all this type of stuff. It's like you're automatically letting something you barely know or even have a grasp
Yeah,
of change
yeah,
your
I hate
influence
all
of
that shit
opinion.
too. Yeah, I hate all that shit too. But again, my thing is look at your true choice of words. You said I've been gifted. You've been gifted. Gifts come from something. There's gifts don't just appear out of nowhere. Gifts come from someone. That's my point. I do believe we use the terminology like that. I do, and I agree with you. At my perspective, you do have a gifting, man. You do, but a gift comes from something, something or someone. That's that again. That's just my opinion. Just my 2 cents worth on it. But I
I
do agree
chalk
with
it up
that.
to the jet ski that hit me when I was a kid.
It could be that. It could have been. It could have been that. Because that's the thing. Here's the reality, right? Truthfully, either it's all coincidence or it's none of it is.
I don't think it's all coincidence. That's fucking too many shit to come into a
That's what I'm
coincidence.
saying. So, okay, well then, I think it's all coincidence, or none of it is, or it's all happy accidents, or it's again. People go, so what you think then? So God has my plan? No, 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 no. It says the Lord plans. The Lord plans his ways, but the man does make his own steps. You know,
Maybe
and
it's like a polarization though, because Bob Ross was a giant junkie, and the next thing you know, he starts painting trees and shit. He went the complete opposite way.
again, I no, or maybe he finally got on the path. I think he got on the path. I think that there is a path. I think people can go through their life and not get on it. You know what I mean? I do that. And I think that again, imagine if you have your father is the CEO of a company and his your destiny as his firstborn son is to be take over the heir of the company. But you're a fuck up. You fuck up. Is that your dad's fault that you didn't get the company? No, but he destined you to get it. That's how I believe that that's the best way I can give a complete
It's
idiot's
like
guide to
Billy Madison.
what I think God is. Yeah, and then he got on the path and got the company. But he got on the path, and I really do. That's what I think the complete idiot's guide. If I'd explain what God's will is versus man's will, and where God's path is where man, what I'm saying.
Now
That's
let
what I
me
think.
fuck up your guide. Ready?
Go ahead.
In the world today, that guy that the complete fuck up, instead of going into his dad's business or getting his dad's business, starts taking a bunch of salvia or psilocybin mushrooms and ends up shooting himself. Then what's next? There's a hole in your flaw. There's a flaw
No,
there.
no, there's not because he still has free will.
What was in an argument of free will if he was still destined to own the company? That company's not his anymore. It's not destined to him. And now the company has to die with his dad or get moved on to the next guy because his son ended up ending his
It
own
might
life.
be, but the point is the son had free will, but it doesn't change. It doesn't change. what the dad had destined for him
That's the crazy thing is like when I start reading stories in like the
or
Bible and
predestined.
well, when I start reading all these stories and like
Mm,
religious texts and it's stuff like there was a guy that had called to God to ask for help after being harassed by a bunch of kids. So God sent out two bears and slaughtered these 40 kids. I'm like,
mhm.
was that a real fucking story? Like,
I
what is
don't know.
that?
I don't know. Is that a
In
real
so
story?
much religious text, God is depicted in so many different ways, but they do always point at an entity. And here's where I say with religion, where there can be Christian, Catholic, whatever, maybe everybody's got the same piece to this giant picture of a puzzle, but everybody's looking at their piece as the puzzle. It's like this is the whole puzzle. Everyone else is wrong. It's like maybe your part fits in with their part and you got a bit of it and if that's right and you got a bit of it that's right. Like it all seems to go into a giant bigger scheme of a picture, but
Oh yeah,
everyone
dude.
always talks about a same deity.
Well, I mean, hey, I get really high sometimes at night, and I'm fucking think everything I think is completely insane. So you know what I mean? I'm like,
Why is money real?
yeah, and so, but like I said, what I'll tell you, what strengthens my beliefs is how fucked up Earth is right now. It actually really strengthens my belief, man. Because you know what? If you go back and look through Daniel, Revelations, and certain books of the Bible, you'll see it all unfolding. You imagine. You know Back to the Future, the Back to the Future series.
Shout out to my buddy Robert Rice who makes a hot sauce all based on Back to the Future.
All right, so I guess that's a yes. So
I love that
uh
movie.
okay, so Back to the Future 2, old man Biff comes to an old man comes to young Biff and gives him a sports almanac, and he says, "Listen, everything in this book's true. You bet on it." Now let's just say real. I'm trying to really, really, really try to put yourself in this situation, not just say, "Yeah, yeah, I get it." Really, an old man comes to you and gives you a fucking book like that and says, "Hey, Robbie, I'm from the future. I'm giving you this book to bet on." You just meet an old man, just randomly in the street or in a
I
7-Eleven.
know.
A guy comes up to you,
I'm with you. I don't
real
think
or
it's.
wherever
I
you're
don't think
at.
it would ever happen because I feel like then it would be like Rick and Morty where they try to go back in time to fix it, and then
I'm just
two
saying.
time demons came out and were
Listen,
like, "Yo,
shut the
motherfucker, you
fuck up.
trying to change the past?" and start beating the shit out of them.
Shut up. But you know what I'm saying? Really, imagine an old man just bumps you in the store and says, "Hey, kid, I want to give you this." And he's like, "What is it?" "This will change your life. Bet on it." Right? You open the book today, Lakers win by 4, Raiders win 27-2, and it's all right. How long are you going to look at that book? How long do you read that book realistically before you go out and make your first bet?
I would have made my first bet the second I got the fucking book.
Okay, but
But then
here's
I
my
would
point.
donate all my money to like nonprofits and shit
Here's my point. If I have a book that's showing me
after I
what's
bought a McLaren, of
unfolding,
course.
if I have a book that's showing me what's unfolding today, that's right. Wait, that oh shit, now we're there. Oh fuck, we're there.
Are you Nicolas Cage? Is this the movie Knowing? That was the whole point of the movie.
But you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, how long do you start going? Let me take this book a little more seriously.
I mean, yeah, I could see where the Bible could wake you up on some things. I definitely think like a lot of that
That's
stuff
all I'm
that
saying. Yeah.
but that's pre-recorded throughout even before the Bible was created. That there's always this point of a civilization where they end up tearing each other down. And you know what that one subject is that they all get to before the civilization eventually goes to a downfall? The biggest argument, and this is throughout the Mayans, this is throughout everything. It ends up on gender. As soon as everyone starts fighting over gender, it immediately the downfall of the civilization. It's a downfall of a civilization. That's been predicted by scientists. It's been talked about and it's been published in books. It's a concept of that throughout everything, different dynasties in China, in every single country, predating way BC, whatever. It all boils down to gender. That one topic, that one thing eventually leads to the downfall of the whole civilization. It's because they literally have gone through every single issue in that country or in that civilization and gotten to the final one, which is that. Which
And
is one where you're poking at flaws of things or you're poking at something. And that's not discriminating anybody. That's he, she, zim, zer, whatever. That's not
fuck
saying
all that.
that.
Fuck them. I'm saying them. Fuck them.
But what I'm saying is it's the concept of that is literally what they have started finding out through research is that is the end topic before the whole civilization eventually falls. And that's
And
where I
that's all
look at
great.
like we're not going to last.
And that's great. And I totally understand that. And again, that might be fucking something to it. But when I'm talking about when the Bible specifically talks about one world government, a one world leader, one world currency, a mark in the wrist or forehead that you will not be able to buy, sell, or trade without. Again, it's in the news. It's in the
Wait,
news right
it
now.
says all that,
Yes.
like specific to a T.
Yes.
That's
To
really
a
fucking dead on.
fucking T.
Do you
It
maybe
talks
think that we're
about,
just modeling it after that though? Like it seems like society, if we're based
hey,
on that basic,
cool.
per-
Why then? Then why burn the book? Why make it? Why close churches right now? Why do everything like that? Why are we allowed to have this? This
because
is up, but the first thing to start
you're
closing down
also
churches.
introducing to my one theory of why immigration, a lot of people are so against it, is because it's bringing so many different cultures in here. And when you have a bunch of different cultures in here, you have a bunch of different varying perspectives and opinions. And when that starts happening is why people don't get along. You know,
Okay,
we
I'll tell you I was completely wrong because I lived in Singapore for 10 years. The safest, look it up, the safest country in the world. And it is a conglomerate of every religion, every belief. I mean, I had Muslim friends,
that'll
Christian
work. That'll
friends.
work for some countries, but it doesn't
Yeah,
work. It doesn't work for America. I had just read a book recently where a guy said that the America could hold way more people, and
of
a
course it
bunch of
can.
people. It can, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't. I'm not saying immigration is a bad thing. I think immigration is awesome. I think it's amazing if someone wants to try and better their life.
Yes,
But the issue
if,
is how society has gone in America today is that nobody can fucking agree on anything and everyone's got to have issues. And that's not our fault as people. That's technology. Technology has exposed us to so much that we see so much bad and so much hate that we're afraid, we're in fear. And that creates an issue when other people come over here that we immediately come at them with hate. Now, that's not like that in any other country when Americans go over there because they have a sense of we're the most heavily populated based on like even for China, for instance. I had talked to my buddy James Morris, who's living in Japan right now. And I'm
Mhm.
like, how bad is that overpopulation over there? And he goes, I mean, apartments are like the size of your fucking bedroom. Like that's a whole apartment. He goes, but they've learned to live this way because they've been around it. And after generations and generations and generations, it just became a thing. America's not like that. And there's this whole other sense of mentality of freedom and of wanting to do whatever the fuck you want without getting in trouble for it. That's the whole idea of when you start letting immigration in, it's why 64% of the population now does not have a faith, does not have a religion, when the dominant used to be Christian and Catholic. I had talked about since episode 100 of this podcast, where I actually told a rabbi this. I said, I think later in the future, the government is going to end up taking down religion, is going to keep trying its best to destroy churches and all these things long before it was happening. And he goes, that's no, I don't think so. Not even 2 weeks after I posted that episode, I had sent him an article about 4 priests in the Vatican that got arrested. I said, you got to understand there's two things in this world the government could never touch. That is religion because it's old. It's the biggest belief thing in the world, which is not happening anymore because we have so much of this immigration coming in. Not everyone is Christian anymore. Not everyone is Catholic anymore. There's so many other religions to believe in where everyone's like, you know what? That makes a little bit more sense than that one does. Doesn't mean it is. It just means that's just what they're thinking because that's what they're being told to, or that's what they're learning, or whatever. That's their perspective. Now, with the religion and people, that's the two things the government could never break up. Abraham Lincoln said it best: "A house divided cannot stand." The government has learned.
Actually, Christ said that.
Okay, then he stole it from Christ. But I
He
heard
did.
what I'm quoting is Abraham Lincoln in his speech. When he starts talking about that type of stuff, it's because every time that we all get together, such as the riots, such as all this thing, where you start realizing we're knocking on the fucking door of the government, this giant red, white, and blue thing that's been established that is seen as like an all-seeing eye or fucking RoboCop. We get right to the end goal and then all of our attention splits apart and we start breaking up into different fires and battles between each other over stupid shit like masks or over stupid shit like something else that you want to bring up. Just it hinders our progress. It brings us right back to baseline. Nobody even Everyone got pissed off at the fact that the government told you to stay inside your home and threatened you, saying that if you left you were going to get a fine. That happened in my state. But then we all started coming together like, no, we're not going to listen to what the fuck you were saying. Then there was just a lull of all this progress, all these riots that happened. And then there was just this silence for a couple months. And then we let it all build right back up. They built their walls back up again. The issue is government, the farther we go into the future now, is going to start taking down churches even more. They're going to start doing a bunch of stuff because now everyone is at this point of like, why not everybody's religious anymore? Not everybody's this anymore. It's this big push or
Again,
pull.
that's
But
what I'm saying.
that's
That's what
the
I'm saying, though.
yeah,
I'm
that's
saying
the
it.
ultimate power is the government is what I'm saying
The
is that they're becoming this giant conglomerate and they're envisioning themselves as God. And that shouldn't be the case, which is why we need to come together as people and understand that we're letting something bunch of corrupt ass people in a system of government just that idea, a system of government, you think it's supposed to be bold and true. That's why I think it's so important all this real shit's coming out because they're
Well,
people that are running it and they're known to be flawed.
but that's the thing. I agree with everything you were saying about the government. But what, back to my point though, is again, all that stuff's biblical. All this stuff is the fall of this, the stripping away of churches and all these things. It's all biblical in the quote unquote end times. Again, like I said, how many pages would you have to get into that book before you start? Let's just do this. Let's just say this is an experiment then.
I'm glad I
So
put whiskey
right,
in that before we
right,
started this.
yeah, no, right now, man. Like I said, right now with this, with everything that's going on, like I said, people when I show, here's the thing. This is funny. There's people that think that I'm not saying that Jesus rose from the dead. I'm not saying he did that or even
You're not saying that
all
he
that
turned
kind of
water
stuff.
into wine too, right?
Not saying that at all.
Okay.
I'm not saying that, but there are people out there that think that like the Bible is like is there's no history in there. That regardless of what you want to believe, there was a man named Jesus that was born in Bethlehem, that was a Nazarene, that was crucified under the Roman government at the time, under the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. This is historical. This is real. Whether you believe the guy rose from the dead or you don't, that's the part where you're like, okay, well, that's where I believe this side of the story. That's right. But there's people that don't even believe that Christ was a real man that was here on this place. They just think that that it's like made up, like the Bible's like written like by Tolkien, like Lord of the Rings, you know? And my thing is, if this guy was just made up and all that stuff like that and everything like that, why are we still talking about him today, man? There's diets that came out in the 80s that if I told you, do you know what cybergenics is? You're a workout guy. Remember cybergenics?
Yeah.
Nope. But I'm saying
You
that was
said
one of the
no.
most.
You said
I'm
no.
just
I do
saying
remember that.
that. Well, good, but I'm just saying that's weird though because most people don't. Do you remember? Do you remember this? Do you remember? No. There's things that just go away within 5 years, 3 months, 10 years, gone. That thing don't exist anymore. We're still talking about this dude.
It's
We're
because
still
it's
talking about this
it's
dude.
it's the oldest one where there hasn't been anything that's ever been able to do it besides another religion. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's
But we're still talking about it. My point is we're still talking about it. If there wasn't validity into it and everything like that, we wouldn't be talking about it anymore. It'd be fade away like cybernetics did. It's
I
not real.
definitely think there. I just don't think it goes as far as turning water into wine. I don't believe that shit, but I believe it's like kind of like the storytelling effect. Like eventually, to hype it up real good, like George Washington having wood for teeth is
Yep.
better than having slave teeth. I think it. I don't. Not saying it was like way worse and we just made it look nice. No, I'm just saying it's definitely true or it is true. But I think we also made it fairy tale a little bit too, and I just
It's
think that gets
possible.
that gets
It's
told through. I
possible.
mean, you're reading it through a book, and that's like
Possible.
any book you want to make it
Absolutely.
beefier details.
I get it. It's possible. But guess what? What if it was true? And what, like I said, what now? So if I told you when I'm people all this stuff to get to this, so when people go, oh, well, so what's gonna happen next? Now you're interested. All right. So let me ask you this. So right now, what if next? Okay. And what if I tell you this is what I believe is gonna happen next? I believe that this whole alien thing, I said this probably 4 years ago. And I said, you're going to see an influx of aliens and shit so much. And what's going to happen is the government's going to start releasing quote unquote information. Okay. Again, here's the thing. In order to do the greatest, I believe that if I'm right, let's just say hypothetically, and there is what the Bible quote unquote calls the rapture of the church, and just all these believers are just missing all of a sudden. That's going to be the biggest event in human history. You need the biggest in order to make that story jive and not everyone going like someone like you going, holy shit, that guy Jason, he told me about this shit, that fucking Bible, and Jesus came and they're gone and now I'm going to hell. Well, in order for that to be, you have to have the biggest cover up in the history of man. And I believe that's what we've done from the beginning, from the world story, from all this stuff like that. It's all giant cover up. And because you got to cover up that the Bible was a real thing. And so if I said next to you, the next step in line is alien abduction, mass people missing, world goes into chaos. All of a sudden, it gets better than ever. And this one guy comes and says, it takes over everything. He's going to be looked at as a god, and the guy's going to be shot. He's going to be mortally wounded, but He's going to come back from the, and he's going to be declared dead. He's going to come back from the dead in 3 days. Now, hypothetically, what if?
I'll
What
quote the
would?
Russians. I'll quote the Russians. God doesn't bleed.
So what if? But what would it take again? And then you're now okay. Like I said, right now we already can see no masks, no service. How much further away are we from no mark, no service?
Have you
Mark
ever
is
seen the movie? I mean, have you ever seen this TV show with Seth MacFarlane called The Orville?
no, I have not.
You gotta watch that because they talk a lot about stuff that's literally our society's. It's like Dark Mirror or Black
Mm.
Mirror, whatever it's
No,
called.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But they had an episode where they went down. It's like a fake Star Trek or a parody Star Trek. They went
Mhm,
down to this planet where it turns out the planet was actually a spaceship, but it had a giant dome in it. But all these people, after generations of the ship not working, they just
mhm,
lost. They lost the idea and lost the information that they were on a spaceship. So eventually, they just thought that this was the world, and these people
mm,
came from a different spaceship, and were like, "Hey, we have to blend in because these people are still kind of back in the times." And they looked at him as a god.
mm,
They looked at them like, "You are God, like, you have all the answers." And then he's like, "No, watch." And she cuts her hand, and her hand starts bleeding, and he's like, "God doesn't bleed." He's like, "Yeah, because we're not God.
mm,
We're just way more advanced than you guys are." It was like this whole like mind screw of like, "Oh my God, like you really maybe there's information that we had known that we end up losing." It's like I had a podcast with an Egyptologist. You know, my first question I asked was, "What are the pyramids built by aliens?" He said no, and then he gave me the evidence of why it wasn't. He said that no, they
mm,
were just bars that were laid on top of each other that were thousands of basically hundreds of years apart from each other. It
mm,
wasn't actually all built at once. It was slow progress.
mhm,
And someone commented on it, was like, "I would love to debate you on this topic." I'm like, it wasn't a fucking topic. It wasn't like a fucking debate or anything. It wasn't like
mm.
we were just talking about aliens. We're talking about the idea of it. What information do we not have because it's been so long past and then we just think it's this? Why are
Oh,
we running?
hey, like I said, I love those kind of thoughts. You know what I mean? I love having, if you were, if we lived around each other, you'd be the guy to put on a fire pit, have some drinks, smoke, and talk these shits, until the wee hours in the morning. You know what I mean?
I would.
I love those conversations. They're awesome. And but I'm just simply saying again, you keep avoiding my question, but what
What
again?
question?
The I said, I'll ask you one more time. I'll ask you one time. How much I asked you a question about the sports almanac and how many, how many games would have to be shown that were
I told
correct
you,
before
fucking,
you.
I wouldn't even wait for a game. I'd do
All
it right
right.
immediately.
Okay. So again, what would it take you to see if I told you these are the events that are about to be played out according to the Bible, a book that was written hundreds of years, thousand years ago? If how many of more events would have to take place before you go, fuck? If the end is true, what about all the stuff before that?
I guess I'd have to read the Bible first.
But you see what I'm saying? There's you went from I immediately put a bet down to now I got to do some research. There's a break there. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody's
There.
ever grabbed the Bible and hit me with it and said, "Hey, this has all the information of what the future is going to lead to." If you would have said
Okay.
it like
What if
that,
I
then
did?
sure.
What if I did? What if I did?
Then I'll go fucking go buy a
Yeah.
Bible then.
That's what I'm saying. So, but I'm saying, but if I'm telling you right now that these events that are happening before our eyes are transpiring, all this stuff, man, and it's not just one or two things, it's all the things. How people with stuff with gender in the last days, sexuality, people be losing faith, all these kind of things like that are all talking about in these end times with it, the coming down to one world government, a one world leader, one currency, and ultimately a mark, the mark of the beast that would be his mark, the mark of the Antichrist, that
Ragnarok.
um, that you cannot sell or trade without it. Now I used to think when I was little, it would be like people like in Nazi Germany with Jews and being like, no, and getting branded. I'm like, no, no, yeah, get out of here. You have, dude, it ain't that. That's not what it was. That was young, stupid Jason thinking that. Smart Jason goes, people are going to be begging for it. It's going to be in the Bible, the mark of the beast, and people are going to be begging for it. You know why? Because they're so fucking stupid, and because these same people that are putting on masks and just listening, like I want unemployment. No one wants to work. They want the unemployment. They want everything to be given to them. It's give me, give me, give me. You want this mark? You can buy, sell, and trade with it. Give it to me. They're going to ask for it.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to ask for it.
I would love to know the answer, but I also don't want to know. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly. It's fucking terrifying.
there's going to be there's an alternate point right now where you just told me all this stuff and I said, "All right, then I guess I'm reading the Bible." I just saw my whole lifeline split into two different universes where one's
Yeah.
like I end up reading it and then I become a Bible beater, or then I end up, at certain points I look at it like, yeah, like I could definitely get into this. This is something I could jive with, but like the idea of
Mm.
sticking to it is just something that can never conceptualize in my head
It's
again.
hard. It's really hard, man. I mean, like, I listen to teachings and things like that. You know what I mean? Because again, I'll say this. It, you know, it I've said this analogy before. Again, I do a lot of fitness analogies, and only because I believe us building taking care of our physical body. Uh, People, you can see the change. You know what I mean? Used to be, if you saw me and you met me and I was, 300 plus pounds, and you saw me now and I'm like 175, and you'd be like, at you and everyone asked me, dude, what did you do? How did you do it? And what if I told you something so crazy? Like, dude, it's so weird. I literally ate anything I want. It just right before I went to bed, I had a scoop of peanut butter. That's it. I didn't change anything else about my diet. I just had one scoop of peanut butter every night before I went to bed. Then you need another guy, and your friend Craig. Hey, Craig, dude, I haven't seen you. God, you look great, man. Fuck, dude, it's so weird. I didn't change anything in my diet. I just had one scoop of peanut butter before I went to bed.
I'd say that
It
fucking works for
sounds
you. It's not going to work for anybody else.
insane. It sounds insane. And then you meet another person, a fat woman, said, "Oh my God, it's so weird." The thing is, we can see our physical change on the outside. If someone gave you physical advice to change yourself physically, you could immediately go and try to apply that advice. It's so different in our spirits, the inside of us. And you can't just walk around and go, wow, look at the difference in that person. You know, yeah, you can have a conversation like this and go, wow, you're not the same person, but you can't just see it. You know what I mean? You got to dig, and it's way harder. But I think that people that go down that route do get that a spiritual change, and they become different. And we can't see it, but they are different. All I'm ever trying to do is say, hey, man, how do you know you're right? What did I say? I don't. I have faith. I have faith in what I believe. But at the end of the day, if I tell you what I believe, it's simply because I'm coming from a place of love, and I believe that this is a thing, and I believe it to be true. Could I be completely wrong? Yep. Completely fucking wrong. I could be completely wrong, man. It could all be, I could be. And so if you want to be mad at me for believing what I believe, okay, I get it. I don't know why you're mad. I'm not mad at you for believing what you believe. If you want to believe we're in the Matrix, we're became by monkeys, we Buddha, Hindus. Are you happy? Are you happy? If you are, then keep doing you, baby. Don't keep doing you. If you're not, and there's confusion and there's fear inside, hey, I might have a solution. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with you 100%. That's kind of how I look at it, but I'm also afraid 24/7. So
That's terrible, man. The Bible said God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a sound mind.
I'm not afraid of dying. I'm
I'm not
afraid
talking
of
about dying.
myself.
No, but again, no fear. It shouldn't be no fear. No, we should have no fear, man. And it's so hard. You know what I mean? I do believe all choices and all emotions come from love and fear. The root of them all is love or fear.
I think I started fearing myself when I started realizing that I was the only enemy that I've ever had.
Yeah.
When you
Well,
start
that's
realizing that you're putting yourself into roadblocks into your own life and causing your goals that you would want to chase down to be stopped only on the pursuit of what you might think other people might think of you is the objective idea of why you become your own worst enemy because you will literally hold you back from your dreams. You hold your
yeah.
back from yourself. That's why when I go out into the world, I just look at it like this is just it's just something that we're all experiencing and we all really don't have the information more than
Oh,
another
I
person
agree.
does.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are lost and scared. That's why, hey, man, look at it this way. Fear is crippling, man. People are more afraid of dying than so people are so afraid of getting sick that they're willing to not live. You know, they're not living their life because they're so afraid of getting sick. What the
How long
fuck?
were they not living their life though? They've been not living their life for a very long time. So many people were doing
You know
things
what I'm
just to do
saying though.
things.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying though. Hey, I got a question. I got to piss. What do I do?
I mean, we can wrap it up. We're almost at that 2 hour mark too.
Yeah, no, I
Spotify
don't.
gets
Yeah,
upset.
yeah. All right, I got to pee anyway. Yeah, it's good. No, but it's fun, man. It's always a good time talking to you. Again, I think you're a smart guy. I don't want you to be afraid. Read Revelation. It's an interesting thing. The book of Revelation is the last book of the Bible, but it's the only book that says, "Blessed is the man who reads this book." No other
I-
book in the Bible says that.
Is it a New York Times bestseller like every other book I've seen?
The Bible still to this day the most popular book ever, the number one selling book of all time, and it's the most stolen book of all time.
I think it's probably tied with like Ron Jeremy's famous like pornography or
I'm
something.
pretty sure
It's got to
it's
be
this
tied.
more. It's pretty sure it's more than
How
that.
many times has someone Googled how to get rich quick? Come on now.
It's true. It's
All right.
true.
I'll make sure, Jason, I know all your links. Las Vegas arm wrestling community. Am I right?
Las Vegas Arm Wrestling is my our Las Vegas Arm Wrestling. We actually I'll announce it soon enough, but I'm going to be the active manager of our new gym. here in Vegas. It was Filthy Power Gym. It's going to be Sin City Iron. A very famous power lifter, Eric Spoto. You want to look up a cool dude? Google Eric Spoto, Spoto, and you will feel like you're a little bitch because the motherfucker bench presses 700 pounds. But he was the world's bench press. I don't know if he still has the record, but he was the world's bench press champion. And obviously my Instagram, Jason Latona. So, but I don't want anyone to know who I am anymore. I don't want to hide.
You don't want to hide? That's hiding,
I
though.
want to hide. Dude,
We get it. We see you have nice arms. I got it. Well,
I'm strong, dude.
where did you have a lot of sodium today? They're not as ripped as they usually are.
I had no sodium today. I haven't eaten. I just had my 2 In-N-Out burgers yesterday. No, I gotta. Yeah.
We got animal crackers.
No, I got. No, I'm not gonna eat anything. Like I said, I'm not. I'm eating once a day. So, but I'm gonna
Wait,
go.
so
I
you
am
eat
going
once a
to it.
day? That's why all this stuff was just nonsense because you're really just dying of starvation. So your brain's
It
just going
might
insane.
be.
I'm
It
just
might
fucking
be.
with you. I'm just
It totally might be. Robbie, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate you.
no problem, man. Thanks for listening to this episode out of the Blank Podcast.